We are live again. It's another Tuesday night. We've got another top expert. That is Dave Richard from CBS Fantasy Football. Dave, welcome to the show. Always great to see you, my friend. Thanks again for joining us, man.
I've got to think of a clever nickname for you, Bob. The governor of
Aqualung?
Ohio, the mayor of Canton.
Can't have that one. Andy calls me that. Andy
Yeah,
Bears has that one. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's apropos. I mean, just the way that you handle the FF Expo and you've made it such a huge thing, and the King's Classic. I know how much hard work you put into that. I know how much hard work you put into this show. And you're deserving of all of the titles, my man. You're doing a great job out there
Thank you.
in the name
Well,
of fantasy football.
yes, thank you. So Aqualung was given to me by Chris Berman. So obviously that's very dear to heart. I actually have the book downstairs that he autographed and said to Aqualung, my friend. So
Cool.
always love that one. But Andy calls me mayor of camp, but I'll take anything, just whatever the case may be. Dave, thank you again for those kind words. I always say, and I know that you and Brad and Andy and Mike Clay and all the guys who I brought this idea to for the King's Classic in 2018, always, I always say if it wasn't for your guys' support at that moment, because you guys took it to SiriusXM, I just said, I got the place. It's called the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And you guys said, we love it. We'll handle this side. And as they say, if you build it, they will come. And you guys came to Canton, Ohio that first year, 2018. A couple weeks ago, we had Marcus Grant on, and he was telling the story about Brad reaching out to him and go, hey, do you want to be in one of these expert drafts? Like, oh, my God, not another expert draft. And he goes, they're drafting the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And he's like, I'm in.
Yeah, yeah.
So love that for sure. But talk about that. I mean, I think I didn't know what to expect. You didn't know what to expect, but you guys all came. We went into the Gold Jacket Lounge. SiriusXM was there. We had 2 leagues of 12 teams each, getting the best of the best. You, Andy Behrens, Bob Harris, Howard Bender, Brad Evans, Mike Clay, anybody was there, and me. But it was great to do that. I'm still in awe, but I know that first year, we were trending on Twitter with hashtag Kings Classic FF from the SiriusXM show. It was a huge success. But talk about your thoughts and feelings that day, what your expectations were going in, and maybe how they ended up. How did your teams do? But if you remember that, I'm not sure I can. But
I remember that I didn't win, so I don't want to talk too much about that. Okay. But I didn't lose either, and that's important. Right. Well, I guess I did lose because I didn't win the leagues, but I didn't finish in last, is what I meant. Listen, anytime you get an opportunity to go to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, you take it. And this is coming from somebody who's now been there every year except for one since 2018. Mm-hmm. And the place never ceases to amaze. I mean, the gift shop is amazing there. And if that doesn't tell you everything, like the gift shop is like part of the fun, but the Hall of Legends and all the other great football history that surrounds you at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, you go. And so if you're within a stone's throw of Canton, Ohio, go out of your way to go there. Right. That being said, the chance to do a fantasy football draft from the Pro Football Hall of Fame, how was I supposed to pass that up, Bob? And especially with everybody else coming from all the other sites and a chance to draft and test myself against them. Right. Yes, absolutely. I wasn't going to miss it. And I always use the trip as an excuse to go to a couple of preseason games because the nice thing about Canton is that it's not far from Cleveland or Pittsburgh or Indianapolis or Detroit even. And I've made some major sacrifices on sleep to go to a preseason game, catch about 4 hours, and then drive 4 hours to make it to the Kings Classic draft. The league means a lot to me. I've got a home league. It's with all my buddies from college. Of course, that league means a lot to me, too. At CBS, we play in a bunch of leagues against each other. Our Dynasty League in particular, very, very competitive. That means a lot to me. But the Kings Classic, The fact that I'm competing, it's not against 10, it's not a 10-team league, it's not a 12-team league, it's a 14-team league with 3 wide receivers and triple flex. And I am telling you, there is never anything worth a damn on the waiver wire all season long.
And if you can get one,
if you even can
rare.
get it right, it's trouble. But at the end, if you win it all, you get a championship belt. I've got one of those. It was definitely something that I wanted to do before I die. And I got one. Now I want another one, and I've been so close. I'm doing well in these leagues, but I'm not getting to that championship game enough. But
I feel your pain, brother.
I know you told me before we started you had a 13-1 team, a 12-2
team,
and neither. I don't mean to rub it in. I don't mean to rub it in.
Yeah.
I'm kind of rubbing it in.
That's fine.
That you didn't win it in either league.
Not only did I didn't win, I didn't even make the finals in either one. I got beat tonight in both. And it's that damn Mauricio.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but like that sticks in your gut, right? It's still in your gut, and it's going to stick in your gut until you draft at the Kings Classic in August. And that's how I feel when I lose in the playoffs in the Kings Classic every year. There's just a little part of me that dies because I didn't make it into the championship and win it. And then like there's a charitable cause on top of it. And I just, one last story. So when we did the very first draft from the Hall in 2018, we were there after the Hall of Fame closed, and they let us have the run of the place.
Right.
So I remember Mike Clay and I were just walking alone in the Hall of Legends. This is where all the busts are of all the Hall of Famers, and it was incredible.
Yeah.
And
if you don't get a chill like down your spine from just that around you and all these players and what they've accomplished, you're not a fan. You're not a football fan at all.
No, not at all. And like the crazy thing about it is, like, I know some of the people that are in that Hall of Fame. I work with some of the people that are in that Hall of Fame. Gil Brandt used to run the Cowboys. Until Jerry Jones took over the team, and Gil's in the Hall of Fame. So now I catch myself going up to Gil's bust every year saying, "Hi, Gil."
Right.
Like he's right there in front of me. I'm an idiot, but like it's just one of those things that I get a little bit of extra benefit from. But anybody who's a fan of anybody that's in the Hall, maybe in your mind, you're going to be staring at John Elway's face or Lynn Swan's face, whoever is your favorite that's in the Hall of Fame. And you'll just like, it's crazy. You think that they're looking back at you.
Yeah, no, it is super cool. And again, I've lived here all my life. I've been here so many times. I used to drive a lot of the Hall of Famers, and I have stories forever, and that's another day. But it is just such a special place. And I always say to people, they're like, "Well, should I come to the expo?" And I'm like, I got 2 questions. Number 1, do you play fantasy football? Number 2, have you ever been to the Pro Football Hall of Fame? If the answer is yes and no, you have zero reason not to come, because that's exactly what this is. The expo is fantasy football, but at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, you can spend hours there, do whatever you want. Of course, we have the Kings Classic there, so anybody who's out there watching, first off, send questions. You can ask Dave anything you want. Why he has the U helmets behind him or a Cowboys helmet behind him? I'm sure he's a big fan of both, but
I'm a big fan of one.
Okay.
Not the other.
Oh.
But you're going to have to ask to find out why.
Okay. There it is. Folks, ask that question. I won't do it. I'll let somebody else.
Yeah.
So Jorge, you can do it, or somebody else can do it.
Jorge I know already.
Yeah, well, I know you know Jorge. So anybody out there doesn't know
Jorge, guess where I met Jorge?
Yeah, right. He just said that he's got a great story about meeting you the first time.
Yeah,
so
it's a great story we both share.
Yeah,
absolutely.
No, cool.
I'm walking down the hall back to the draft, and Jorge stops me, and he says that he's interested in. He's a fan of mine, and he wanted to pick my brain on getting started as a fantasy analyst. Brought him right in the room with me. Jorge, I don't know if I introduced you to people or not, but I know that you hung out in the room, and then lo and behold, Fantasy and Frames is kicking butt.
Yeah,
and I'm proud to claim Jorge as one of the people that I kind of got
It's
into
like
the fantasy industry.
like the Sean McVay trees, right? It's the coaching
Sure,
trees.
but
So
like
it's the analyst tree.
sure.
Who comes off Dave Richards, right?
Right. So, but the thing is that Jorge kind of did it for himself. I'm just,
Yeah,
I'm. It's kind of fake for me to claim Jorge because Jorge did all the work,
right.
and there's other people in the industry that I would love to claim, but they put in the work to get themselves in the position that they're in.
And I
But
totally appreciate that.
any little piece that I do,
Right.
Bob, to help out, it's my pleasure.
Well, and it's so funny that you bring that up. Again, it's a perfect segue because, a lot of people always ask me, I do a lot of these interviews as well, Bob, why did you create the Fantasy Football Expo? Well, first off, kind of started with the King's Classic, of course, but the expo was always the dream because I wanted everybody to come to Canton, share the village, the town, whatever, but more importantly, meet people face to face and help new people getting in the industry, help them to know who you are, who I am, and how we can help them move forward. Because I had that same privilege of Howard Bender's, Jeff Mann's, Greg Kellogg's, all those people who, when I was starting, I was writing my consistency stuff, and I wasn't sure if it was, really worth anything. Is anybody really reading it? And hey, can you get me? People would get me into their expert leagues, and then I would start winning, and like, okay, this is working. So we're doing the same thing. We're just paying it forward. So, Dave, when you're there and I'm there and we're meeting these new people, just like Jorge met you for the first time, it is an important part of their path. And it may be a little thing, like you said, just meeting him and introducing you, but that meant a lot to him as it, meeting all those other folks and them being a part of helping. And again, you guys have helped me push this forward, you
Of course.
know so yeah, again, I think it's just a great way for folks to come in, and we want the fans too. Certainly they can come and learn and meet their favorite experts or sites or whatever, but it's also people coming in maybe wanting to get started in the industry, and we'd love to help them because everybody needs that opportunity and that chance. So yeah, definitely love that. So as we move forward, so 2019 we do our first Kings Classic. We have, of course, our get together at BW3s, which we all hung out together, which was a blast. And I always told people that was kind of like, again, one of those, the ceiling opens and the gods have shined upon me, because I'm looking around going, holy cow, here's all of these amazing people that I've looked up to my whole life, and they're all talking to me like they're normal people. Like, this is great, and everybody's happy, and everybody is supportive, and nobody's an a-hole. And it was like, this is awesome. And I always told people like, oh, well, these guys all know so much more than me, and I don't know if I feel weird talking to them because they'll think I'm stupid. I'm like, nope, don't even once think that. You will never get that from any of us. People are like, oh, there's trolls and they'll be there. Nope, they don't come to the expo. I'll guarantee that. But talk about that experience. Remember, and also the 2019 was the first year that we had the full expo weekend. And then we had some other content creators and fans all meet us at BW3. And that was a fun night as well. Do you remember that? And kind of had a lot more people, a lot more new people. I remember, oh gosh, Kate, and I can't remember
Michelle,
her partner's name, Michelle.
Lejoux.
Yeah. Being there and, everybody meeting them, and, it was just a great time. But talk about your thoughts on that experience.
No, anytime you get together with others in the industry, it's kind of like you're maybe a little starstruck because these people are doing the same thing you're doing. It's a friendly competition. Sometimes it's a fierce but friendly competition. But I'm so used to seeing these guys on social media or in a video that gets served up to me on Instagram or on YouTube or something like that. And here's Matt Harmon talking about reception perception, and here's the Yahoo guys all talking about who, I don't know why I'm picking the Yahoo guys all of a sudden for this example, but I'm going with it.
Right.
But these are all people that are my peers in the industry, and I respect them, and it's fun to talk to them, and we're catching everybody off the clock. And as long as there isn't somebody in your face going, All right, who's your RB8 this year? And why should I take him in round 3? And is round 4 too late? And, oh, here's a keeper question. I got to pick 3 of these 4, and I lose a round in this year, but next year.
4 seconds.
That all right, now I'm working. And, I'm supposed to be kicking back, having a beer with my buddies that I don't really know, but I know them. And so they know me, and we kind of are buddies. So don't make me work right now. Let me work at the expo. Let me work when you ask me a question on social media, when you email me, something like that. And it was just like a really cool scene. And I remember that. And there are still scenes like that every year at the expo, at the King's Classic. It's open to the public, so people can come and sit and they can watch us draft. And I've had people come up to me, hey, why did you take Puka Nacua in round 1? I had somebody come up to me. I took Nacua in round 1 in the King's Classic last year, and then I also took Nacua in the auction draft that we did. I like to double dip in these leagues.
Me too.
I like to bet on myself a little bit and take the same player in both. And I got Nacua in both, and I got Jahmyr Gibbs in both. And Nacua obviously had the knee issue, and I told the guy, listen, I heard it's bad, but I don't think it's that bad, and I think he's got a chance to be the best receiver in LA, and it turned out to be correct. And I'm sure that guy's going to come up to me like, yep, you were right about that. And I drafted Nacua myself, except I got Nacua in round 2 or whatever he's going to tell me. But it's cool to have the interaction. It's cool to get the feedback. Sometimes people will come up to me and they'll say, oh, I love Fantasy Football Today. That's the name of my podcast that I'm on with all the guys at CBS. And, hey, can you give Adam a message for me? Tell him that Die Hard is a Christmas movie and that he's a knucklehead. Or I've had people come up to me and say, hey, listen, tell Heath that he's my favorite. I not to offend you, Dave, but Heath or Jamie, they're my favorite. And I say, yeah, no problem. It's fine. As long as you're listening, that's all that matters. And as long as we can have an interaction, that's all that matters. And there's a lot of that there. And it's also good to check in with people that I've known for a long time in the industry. And that's Bob Harris. That's Brad Evans. That's Mike Clay. I mean, I remember Mike Clay from before his PFF days. And now the dude's now that he's in the Fantasy Football Hall of Fame, the FSWA Hall of Fame, he's done so much for our industry. So there's a lot to it, and there's never a bad time to meet a new friend. So if someone's there, they're a big time fantasy fan, and we're just hanging out, and you come up to me or you or anybody else, yeah, man, it's cool. We're all big fantasy geeks around here. Introduce yourself. Tell me how you did in your league last year, and then tell me who you like this year in your fantasy leagues, and we'll chop it up.
There you go. No, I love it. So interestingly enough, again, you're doing very good on segues, and I didn't even prompt you on these, but let's talk about something we're going to do special and new this year. One of the things we really wanted to focus on this year. Oh, and Tootsie Pop, good to see you. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Rachel, right? Tootsie Pop, sure. Everybody knows her. But we did a survey afterwards, and there was a lot of things about needing more engagement for the fans. The fans like to be there, but they felt like it's still too much of a content creator, even though we know differently. But okay, it is what it is. So we created a couple things. One of the things was to create, first off, this ultimate fan package. Like, if I'm a new person coming into the expo, I want everything. I want to do it all. I want to be bigger and better. I want all the cool stuff. And then that kind of combined with a lot of people who struggle with anxieties and stuff like that. As much as we know, Dave, you, me, Bob, anybody, we can be walked up and talked to at any point. But people who have a little bit of anxiety, and they also see people like you and Bob Harris and those folks surrounded by a lot of people because you're a big deal and everybody wants to talk to you. And I get that. But they're like, well, we don't want to interrupt and that. So what if we had a special meet and greet that we could have our own little more one-on-one time with, the bigger names. And so that's what we did with this Ultimate Fan package. It gets you a meet and greet. So Dave, you're going to be there. Andy Behrens, Marcus Grant, Howard Bender, Bob Harris, and we'll be adding more as we get confirmations of who's going to be there. But we're going to have that Saturday night right before the Saturday party at the M-Bar/Jerseys, and there's only 100 tickets sold. So only those people will be in the room with you guys to chat, talk, have a drink, have some food, and just have more of that one-on-one conversations about whatever. It can be about their football teams, their dynasty teams. Hey, why did you say this? Why did you say that? And if they say, well, Heath is still their favorite, then say, well, he's not here. I am. So that's right.
It's okay. I'm telling you, it's totally fine.
All right. You're still listening. Anyway, so there's that. They're going to get special Fans Classic t-shirts that are only exclusive for that. They're going to get a guided tour of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, not just a ticket.
That's cool.
That's a special thing. Yeah. So they actually be guided through by one of the members of the Hall of Fame staff that know obviously the ins and outs, maybe taking some secret back rooms and places, who knows, but that's going to be part of that package. There's also merchandise discounts. Of course, you get the VIP weekend package to all the events. And so that was kind of our idea. And then also part of that is something new called the Fans Classic. And so we have the Kings Classic, we have the Queens Classic, we've got IDP, Dynasty, all these cool things. But a bunch of the fans said, there's nothing for the fans to draft in the Hall of Fame. And I'm like, you're right. We need to do that. So we created the Fans Classic. So it's kind of a two-part thing for this year. The first part is there's a qualifier. Everybody who buys those tickets is in the qualifier, big draft. It'll be a slow draft, like a Scott Fishbowl slow, not live drafts. And then the top 12 or 14, depending if we get enough experts, will qualify to draft in the Pro Football Hall of Fame next year as part of the Fans Classic. For this year, we're going to do a special thing. We're going to allow folks like you, Dave, and Howard, and Bob, and Jeff, and all those folks to pick your favorite fan to represent you/CBS in the Fans Classic this year. And they will be drafting live right beside us in the Pro Football Hall of Fame at their own table. And the winner of that will then in 2026 come and sit beside the expert that they are representing. So Dave, if your expert wins, they're going to be sitting right beside you, watching you in awe of all of your great picks. And they might throw out some suggestions, but I feel like it'll be an amazing time for whoever is your favorite fan to literally get to sit with you for those 6 hours while you do those two drafts. So that's what it's all about. Dave, talk about that. I know we've had a little conversation beforehand. What are your thoughts initially of how you're going to pick that person?
Well, I need to get a list of all the people who are going to be available and at the Fantasy Football Expo that weekend. So I'll send out a call for that on our podcast and on social media. So
perfect.
If you are a fan of mine and you want to try and get in, be on the lookout for that. And then once I have all the people that are interested in the spot, I'll probably just do a random draw. And just let somebody. Well, I mean, what am I supposed to do? The fan.
I mean, Howard Bender is doing a look-alike contest.
Oh, I mean, one Howard Bender is enough, Bob, and Howard. By the way, we don't need two of you walking around the hall. No, I think I just want to keep it fair.
That's fine. Yeah,
and I definitely don't want to keep it, ugly. So no lookalikes of me, but we will definitely do something that's fair where everybody that tries to get in has an equal chance to get in. And, one of the things that I was thinking about as you were saying that, I don't know if I'm going to like this, where I've got somebody like kind of sitting next to me and they're going to be able to see all my secret notes. They're going to see my rankings and,
but they see it anyway, right? I mean, you're just using the information you're giving out online and at your podcast.
Yeah, but some information isn't the same information.
Only they will know in you.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's how it goes. Sometimes I get some information that has helped me. And in turn, it's not like I hide the information. Sometimes I might say, I really like this player. I think you should draft him. Look what he did last year. Look at the role he'll have this year. Sometimes when I say that, there's a reason for it. And sometimes I might say, this guy might not be so good this year, I'm going to have them lower than consensus. Really don't think you guys should get them.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's something I know. I'm
Yeah,
sworn to secrecy on a lot of stuff, but
that's true.
my rankings don't have to reflect that. But
All
if
right.
somebody's sitting next to me, they might hear the real scoop on things and
Yeah,
why
see, and
they
that's
would
what
and
it's all
wouldn't.
about,
Of
right?
course.
It's that special inside scoop because you're sitting beside Dave Richards at the Kings Classic Draft. You, you, that's priceless, right there. It's Mastercard priceless.
Potentially. Listen, sometimes the best laid plans in fantasy, you know,
Hmm.
completely go belly up. These things happen, but
Yeah,
I also watch a lot of film, and
yeah,
I've got good
sure,
ideas on which players are emerging and which players are slowing down, and
yeah,
that's all stuff. That stuff is fair game for
hmm,
my analysis, but it's also something that people might want to know about, and they might say, "Hey, why didn't you take this guy over that guy? I have that guy as a keeper in my league." I can tell you right off the top of my head why
hmm,
I feel a certain way about somebody. So it's
right,
I think back. Listen, there was a time where I played fantasy football and it wasn't for my job. And
right,
I would have paid good money to sit next to somebody who had some intel on the
sure,
NFL and had, knew what to look for when watching a game. I mean, way back in the day, I was terrible at fantasy. I mean, we're talking before the turn of the century, but I wasn't good. And it took paying attention. That's really the secret, is paying attention.
I got
And
you,
as long as you're paying attention and you're putting in the time and the effort, yeah, you're going to be better than the other guys in your league. Those
right,
mopes don't pay any attention. They don't know what's going on. They're just buying a magazine on the way to the
right,
draft, and they're going to go off of old information when they do it. Um, I think that there would be some sort of inherent advantage, and this is whether you choose me or anybody else
right,
to be a fan of, like sitting next to somebody that does dozens and dozens of drafts every year.
right,
You're gonna get a pretty good treasure map on how drafts work, and where do the running backs that are good values go, and so
hmm,
on and so forth. It seems like a really cool opportunity that you're putting out there for
yeah,
anybody to get. You just got
yeah.
to work a little. You got to put in a little work to get it.
Yeah, no, and it's if you just want to if you can't make it to the expo, folks, just to let you know, you can just join the Fans Classic qualifier this year online, and you don't have to come to the expo, and you can still pick your favorite one, and then hopefully qualify then to come and draft in 2026. So this is not expo people only. This is for all fans. So
Cool.
we kind of have this little running joke with Scott Fish. If you're not in the Scott Fish Bowl and you haven't been asked, come join our Fans Classic. You can be in that. And then if Scott picks you, then you get a double bonus. But he said there's 40,000 email addresses he had, and he only picks like 10%. So you other 90% out there, come join the Fans Classic. It's only $25. You get a T-shirt, a free T-shirt which says Fans Classic exclusive, and you'll get a consistency guide. I'm giving out free consistency
Oh,
guides,
cool.
PDFs, all those. That's worth $15 right there.
Hmm.
So right there, you've already covered your cost. We're going to get more prizes from other people as we go. But again, like Dave said, you could end up qualifying and winning and sitting right beside him, learn his nuggets, maybe even steal some nuggets from the folks around you. Who knows? If you slip enough money. No, I'm just kidding.
Bob Harris
But
will
no,
tell you anything for a Finsky.
yeah, exactly. Right, exactly. So, no, but thank you, Dave, for your support. Really looking forward to that,
Oh,
especially when you guys pick them all. I just can't wait to get this group of people together. The fans of all of you guys representing you folks at the Hall of Fame, drafting right there beside us in the same room. That in itself, like you said, I think that in itself is pretty cool for any fan that gets that opportunity to come and do that. And then if you win, be able to sit beside your favorite expert the next year as they draft. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a super cool and a lot of fun. And we're definitely really trying to push that. And we thank you for supporting that as well.
love it.
Um, we had it. Will the scoring? Oh, there it goes. Thank you. Will the scoring system rules be posted prior to the weekend? So, yes, I'll just tell you right now what they are because we're going to do the leagues exactly the same as we do the Kings Classics. So it'll be 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 receiver, 3 flex, 1 tight end, no kickers, no defense. Going to try to do 14 team leagues because that's how we play it too. And then again, we'll do slow draft, snake draft online, and that will be and then it's 4 points passing touchdown, straight PPR. So yeah, that is the settings and the scoring.
Sounds fun, but guess what?
It's not.
It is.
Especially when it's like the scramble, the fab itself is just, oh my gosh. Especially like the first 5 or 6 weeks when people go down, like especially stars, if you lose a Derrick Henry or you lose a top receiver, and then you look at the waiver wire for your fab and you're like,
right.
Oh my gosh, there's nothing there.
Right.
And basically whoever that week that wasn't wasn't on somebody's lineup, if they have a breakout week, the amount of fab money spent, it's sometimes just disheartening.
Yeah.
I remember, I don't remember how many years ago, but it was the year that Justin Fields, was it Fields? Yeah, Justin Fields was the backup in Chicago.
I think he got off to a terrible start in Chicago.
And he got dropped.
Right. Like that's the one position that you might be able to find in the Kings.
And then Brad Evans, I think, spent his whole $100 on him. I just remember Brad spending $100 on whoever it was. I thought it was Justin Fields, but maybe it wasn't.
I remember that year for Fields because on one of my teams, I picked him up the week of his breakout.
Mm.
And I was like, okay, this is cool. Glad to have this guy on my.
Yeah, and maybe it wasn't.
I think I had him and Josh Allen, and I remember trying to trade one of them, and then I thought to myself, like this is real near the deadline. I thought to myself, well, if I'm trading Justin Fields, I'm trading him to a contender in my league. Right. I might go up against this guy in the championship or something.
Get killed, right? Exactly.
I don't want him to have him. So I had Justin Fields as an ornament on my bench while Josh Allen was my starter. I think one week I had to bench him for Fields or I hated the matchup so much for Josh Allen that I started Justin Fields, and it ended up being the right call. Good memories of Kings Classic Pass.
It's still fuzzy, but I just remember that because I'd never seen anybody spend not their entire balance. I mean, we've seen somebody like have $20.
Nope.
But $100 the full $100, because it was like week 5 and he hadn't spent a dime. And, you can go and look and see all the bids, and it was 100. And then, everybody else was like 50 or 40 or whatever. For IDP plus, yes, there's no defense. Well, what do you mean? Wait, what do you mean no defense? What about IDP? Yes, there is an IDP Classic, but that's an IDP Classic. There's no defense in the regular Kings Classic or Queens Classic.
Only offensive players.
Yes, only offensive players. Travis Hunter will be included. He'll go both. But so anyway, so that's a good thing. We're really excited about that. Really excited. And there are other packages like that. That's the ultimate. We have like a silver package and that includes like everything like tickets, draft night out, shirts. We got all these special shirts. Well, this is last year's shirt, but we've got the shirts, the merchandise with the kind of music festival shirts. Dave, I don't know if you saw those. So there are 3 different music festivals style looking shirts.
Okay.
And one says Exponeroo for Expo. And then on the back, it has the schedule. And then the bands are all of you guys, all of the experts. Playing tonight or, and it has all the names and CBS and all that stuff on the back. But
do you get royalties for this or no?
No, because Bonnaroo doesn't know anything about it.
Okay.
But then we have like a rock festival one and a country festival one. Okay. Just thought it'd be fun to kind of create festival looking t-shirts. So check it out. If you want one, we'll get one sent to you. Just tell us your size. Pick one out. But so we have a little bit of merch out there and other stuff with Expo logos on if you want to get that. But anyway, so like I said, we have a silver package, gold package, just things, as well as the regular weekend packages that are still $75 right now May 1st goes up to $85. So folks, get your tickets today. Don't forget that, because it will keep going up all summer. We want to keep you procrastinators, buy your stuff early. But Dave, back to you. Let's talk about now. You've been here for a number of years. Talk about some of the just unique things, fun things, experiences that just come to mind that you're like, man, that was just a special moment with, whether it's a fan, an expert, in the drafts. Did you play wiffle ball at 3:00 in the morning last year on the streets of Canton?
I did not play wiffle ball in the streets of Canton.
With Eric Fruton.
Yeah, that sounds fun, yet also scary.
Very dangerous.
Goodness, memories. Well, I talked about being in the Hall of Fame when the Hall of Fame was closed. And I've talked about all the cool people that I've met, like Jorge and Joey Wright. One year was there, and I remember introducing Joey to people at the expo. Had a fun ride down from Cleveland one year. I drove Mike Clay and Andy Behrens, and I think Brad Evans was in that car too.
Oh, wow.
The four of us took a drive, and of course Andy, with his wit, as soon as everybody's in the car, he goes, "Well, we'd make some real serious headlines if we crashed and died on our way down." I was like, I'm going to do, and I was driving. I was like, I'm going to do my best to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So
that's just what we need the expo to be known about. Right. Yeah. The day fantasy football died.
Were killed on the way down to their Fantasy Football Expo.
Yeah. The American Pie song just got changed.
Yeah. One of the very surreal things about it, and I wonder if you could pull this off for the Fan Classic, is having live radio commentary on your fantasy draft while it's happening. So everybody that's watching, imagine you're in your fantasy draft, you're at the bar with your buddies or someone's basement, whatever. You're drafting with your friends, and in the corner is Joe Dolan going, "Dave Richard just made the stupidest pick I've ever seen. I can't believe that he took Javonte Williams in round 2. I think he could have had him a little bit later." And like everybody's laughing.
Right. And you hear, and that's the thing, you hear it. That's the problem. Well, it's like, when you see those scenes in a movie, it's like, I'm standing right here.
Yes.
When somebody's bad mouthing you and you're like, they're right behind me, aren't they?
Sure.
Yes,
but I mean, the Sirius XM people, they've got a job to do, and they're reporting on the draft, and anything that looks a little funny or strange, that's definitely going to be brought to their attention, and they're going to talk about it on the air, and they're all very entertaining people. So, of course, they're going to do it in their own way. Right. And then, like a coach after a game, when they've got to do a press conference, when you're done with the draft, "Hey, Dave, can you come talk to us on Sirius? Let's go over your team on the air." And I go, "Okay, great." And I sit down in the chair, and they butter me up, kind of like you did. "Hey, Dave Richard, CBS Sports, blah blah blah. Hey, what were you thinking taking a quarterback? You were the first one to take a quarterback. Why did you do that?"
Yeah, why?
Like now I'm getting criticized.
Right. Yeah.
All the armchair fantasy managers are throwing rocks at me because they didn't like what I did. It's very, very funny that happens. But I ultimately don't care. I like my team. I like the players that I take on my team. So if the radio folks are gonna kind of give me a little jab over it, it's fine, and I can defend myself. It's not that big of a deal. But that's kind of a funny thing that comes along with the Kings Classic. The other thing that I really like is every year there's an auction on top of it. So there's an auction, and then there's a snake draft, and the auction is always so cutthroat. It is so tough. And I'm going to give everybody one of my little secrets, and this is absolutely going to get back to Pat Doherty and all the other people, everybody from Colby to Curtis and everybody that's in the Kings Classic. When I know I'm going to go another dollar on a player, I wait till the last second.
Oh, yeah.
The auctioneer, he's going to say going twice, and my hand goes up. I'll go 28 on Jahmyr Gibbs or whatever.
Yeah.
Just to try and stick it to the person that I'm getting into
who thinks that, oh, like,
they
I got
think
it
that
for
they're in the
27.
clear,
Oh,
and then Dave's there at the last second, and it might seem and it might look like it's a last second decision on my part. No, it's not. And
no,
by
you're going
now,
34, but right now you're just going to play like,
trust me,
okay,
I got
28.
that number in my mind. I know how I'm going to play it. I know when I'm going to go more than $1 on the bid. I might go 2, 3. I always like to end my bids with a 9, just because it's a little bit harder for people to go 30 or 40. Sometimes it's tough to do that. But Matt, the auctioneer that we've had for the last couple of years at the Kings Classic, he does an amazing job. He's a real auctioneer.
Right. Oh, yeah.
He knows to give me like one eyeball before he says sold.
Yeah.
He knows that my hand's
He
going
knows
up.
you're one of
He
those.
knows I'm coming in with the last second bid. So and listen, that sometimes that works in auctions too.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes it works in the Kings Classic, but it'll work in auctions at home too, because some people are just like, oh, this guy's so annoying.
Right.
And then they're not even sure if they want to go the next dollar. And by the time they figure it out, sold. And you've got your player. You just have to make sure that you're bidding an amount that you're really okay with bidding, because otherwise, you're overspending, and that sucks.
And for everybody out there that's never done an auction draft,
oh yeah,
before you die, please, for everything that is holy in fantasy, do an auction draft live. Especially if you can do it live, it's even better. But even an online is kind of fun, especially if you can at least have a chat or something, beside it.
Sure.
But because like Dave said, the feelings are so real. Because on the other side of being the one who's pissed off because you bid it, it's also an amazing feeling when you're going to go to 35 for this guy and you get him at 26.
Oh yeah.
And everybody pauses and you look around like, what happened? I got him 26. That's all.
Every year.
And everybody looks at you like,
time.
And then you're a bigger douchebag because you just told everybody that Igor's going to go to 35 and you people just gave it away for 26.
Yeah, that's funny.
And it's still, and that guy may get hurt week 1, but it's that amazing feeling. A couple years ago, I ended up in the auction getting Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and A.J. Brown.
Oh, my gosh.
Back to back.
Hold on. You can never do that in a snake draft.
No,
never.
And the thing was, none of them went over $50. So I got Chase for 47. Then I got Jefferson for 47 because everybody stopped. And then I got A.J. Brown for like 35. Now, that was also the year that both Chase and Jefferson missed a bunch of games. And I made the playoffs, but I didn't win. But I was 9-0 at one point when they were all healthy. And then, stuff happened. But yeah, like you said, you'll never get that in a snake draft unless you're playing with like 3 people. But that is so much fun. And then getting the guys for $1 or $2 that end up carrying, like you get who is the running back from Denver a few years ago, many years ago, about 4 or 5 years ago.
The one that was a total bust and no one likes?
No, not Javonte Adams or Javonte Williams.
No,
the guy who came out of nowhere.
Ball.
Huh?
Oh, Monty Ball was who I was saying. You mean like the guy that came out of nowhere in Denver? There's so many of them because Mike Shanahan.
Oh, for Denver. He had curly hair.
Oh, curly hair?
Yeah, I thought he had really curly hair. Oh, gosh. He was only
if I go all the way back to Mike Anderson and Orlando.
No. Like the last 5 or 6 years. Oh, goodness.
Oh, Philip Lindsay.
That's it. The running back. Yeah. And like he came out of nowhere. Very few people drafted him. And then all of a sudden, boom, he's the
guy, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's going to be people that are surprised about R.J. Harvey this year.
Right.
Don't be one of those people. That's my advice for everybody. My little tidbit of fantasy advice. Oh, good.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
he's like, because I know he's really hyped right now. But
people who are in the know are going to end up taking him in round 5.
Yeah. Okay. And for good reason. There isn't much there to fight against, right? And he's a good
John Payton's pick to be his running back. So unless
right.
Denver adds somebody else,
gotcha.
This is who's going to be the guy.
Yeah. No, good stuff. So we got about 15 minutes left. Oh, I saw this. Yeah. It says, when do people get in for the event? How long do you stay? What all goes on that weekend? Great question. I'll try to give you a short version. It is August 8th through the 10th in Canton, Ohio. The website is thefantasyfootballexpo.com. There is a thing that says learn about the weekend. Check that all out. And you can get a weekend pass for $75 before May 1st. And if you missed the early part of this, watch it again so you can kind of learn more about it. But it's just a great weekend, 3-day weekend of all the best fantasy experts, Dave and everybody. And it's just a great time. So, yeah, you'll love it. Come and hang out with all of us. Dave, any more thoughts on you want to brag some more about it too?
About the King
expo?
On the expo?
Yeah.
I remember the one year when you had a flag football tournament and Des Bryant was there.
Yeah, we did that once.
That was pretty cool.
It was beyond amazing.
Des was pretty good at flag football.
But I always tell people, everybody's like, "Oh, that's not fair." I go, "He played quarterback, and he's left-handed," and they're like, "What? What? He didn't play wide receiver? No, he didn't have to."
Nope.
They still killed us. But yeah, no, we're not doing it this year just because we're kind of trying some new things, rearranging some things, the meet and greets and stuff like that. So maybe we'll get back into that a couple years from now. But yeah, that was a special year when Des showed up and was a part of our weekend. But so Dave, as you head, we think about coming this year. I know it's on your list, and I know you'll do everything to get there. What's talk a little bit about like CBS Fantasy? What's going on there? All the great stuff you guys are doing. Anything new and exciting?
Well, we are at the time of the year when we like to start building our off-season fan ADP. And what that means is we don't collect, we ask our fans to do mock drafts with us against each other. Just you run a draft, you take it seriously, you pick the players, we create an ADP from that. And we use that to kind of judge how people are going to draft their teams. If they're doing it now, not a lot's going to change between now and right before training camp. So it's a good opportunity for our audience and our viewers to draft, and they get feedback on their draft from us. And then we have an ADP, and now our audience is going to be a step ahead of everybody that doesn't have an ADP. Some people like to use an ADP from the NFC, which is an expert league that does fantasy drafts. Those are all very sharp people who play for a lot of money. People like to use the Underdog ADP. Underdog is a great best ball game, but it's best ball. It's not the same thing as a 12-team PPR draft. So I'm really looking forward to starting to build those mock drafts, and people can always reach out to me. Hey, how do I get in one of those? Really, you have to email me. And my email is at the top of my profile page on X. So easy to get a hold of me, easy to request it. If you're available, I send out an email. It's your turn to draft. Do you want to draft? If you're available, here's the date and time. Okay, if you can make it, great. If not, we'll try and get you in the next one. But everybody gets a chance to do a mock draft, and they can start testing their own strategies for fantasy football in 2025. So that's a brainchild of mine that started last year. It worked out really well for us. We're going to do more of that this year. Our podcast is still going strong. We've got a couple of, we've got one spinoff podcast called FFT Dynasty. It's nothing but dynasty talk all season long, and during the off season, Heath Cummings hosts it. It's twice every week. It's really good stuff. We also have a very short podcast called FFT Express, and that's an 8-minute podcast. Maybe you don't have time to listen to us jibber jabber for an hour and 10 minutes. We've got 8 minutes. You get the idea of what we talked about, and then you're on your merry way to go listen to another podcast. It's a great way for people that are really on the go. Maybe they don't have the long commute. Maybe they don't have as many chores to do. They can just get their download and get their fix in 8 minutes pretty much every single day. On top of that, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about CBS Sports HQ. That's our live sports streaming news and highlight channel. It's free. All you have to do is go to cbssportshq.com and you just start streaming it. There's betting advice. There's highlights from every game, every sport. It's not just football.
Oh,
And
okay.
and I love going to CBS Sports HQ when there's breaking news in any sport, because this is like a cable news channel. This is like social media, but it's a screen. You're immediately getting the news, the reaction to the news, the analysis to the news. It doesn't matter if it's Dame Lillard getting helped off in the playoffs, or if it's the next golf tournament that's coming up and who you should take to make a couple of bucks on. But CBS Sports HQ has all of that information there. And did I mention that it's free? Just go to cbssportshq.com. And sometimes there's fantasy advice on there, and you get to see a friendly face once in a while to help you with your fantasy leagues.
So I said we were going to talk football, but I have to ask you this because I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. I try to be. It's very painful at times.
Yes.
Tell me Shedeur Sanders is going to be okay. Does he have, because I don't watch college football. Obviously, I write about consistency, so I try not to skew my view from these guys playing in college because obviously things change so much in the NFL. But, obviously that was a shocker for all of us fans, especially since they drafted Dylan Gabriel the 2 rounds before.
Yeah.
If this kid for some reason humbles himself, does what he uses the talent that God gave him, can he be our future quarterback, or what are your thoughts?
I think he's got the potential to be a starting NFL quarterback. The things that worried me about Shedeur Sanders, first and foremost, he didn't have disciplined feet in the pocket. So what it means when a quarterback's in shotgun, they're already 3, 4, 5 yards away from the line of scrimmage. Shedeur, and it might have been because his offensive line was really bad at Colorado last year,
Right.
but he would take an additional 5 to 7 yards back in his drop from shotgun, Bob. And so now he's adding 8 to 12 yards on every throw he makes, even if it's a short throw. That worried me.
Yeah.
About 53% of his total yardage last year came after the catch. That worried me. That's always a telltale sign of game manager, not game winner.
Right.
And then the third thing that worried me was he could read a coverage before the snap, but when the safeties rotated after the snap, he was a mess, especially if a blitz was involved. If you want to go back, I know you don't watch college football, and maybe now's a good time to do it.
Yeah.
You can watch Shedeur Sanders highlights, and all the highlights are going to make him look great. You can go on YouTube right now and search for Shedeur Sanders versus BYU. That's his last college game.
Okay.
It will make you realize why he fell in the draft. Do I think he should have fallen to round 5? Absolutely not. Okay, he was my QB3.
Right.
I liked, obviously, Cam Ward better. I like Jackson Dart better. But I do see positives in Shedeur, and I think I should say what they are. He's accurate. He's got a perfect throwing motion. You can tell that he's the son of a former NFL player, so all of his fundamentals are really good. When he did trust his offensive line, he didn't take that big, drift back in the pocket. And he would make accurate throws on time, pinpoint, good stuff, good enough arm strength, good enough velocity. Can he push a ball 50 yards? He can't. There's 3 plays at the end of a game against Baylor last year. They're down 7. And the first 2 throws, they're like Hail Mary attempts. Where they're big giant lobs, they're helium balloons, ton of air under them, barely. They either do get in the end zone or they're just short of the end zone. The third throw, he's on the run, and he kind of just I don't know if it's quite a sidearm, but he spins it a different way. And it comes off his hand, and it looks amazing. And the receiver makes the play for the ball. It's about to hit the ground. The receiver's diving, catches it, brings it. I think it was Jimmy Horn. And it's a touchdown, and Colorado goes into overtime against Baylor. And it's moments like that, along with those moments where everything's good in the pocket, there isn't a lot of pressure on him, he trusts the offensive line. Shedeur Sanders looks like a more than competent quarterback.
Okay.
but he's not a finished product. He's got a lot of work to do. The other thing, and this is one big reason why I prefer Dart to Sanders, Shedeur Sanders has basically been in the same offense since he was in high school. He's been coached by his father since before he was in high school. But in high school, Dion was his offensive coordinator. And when he went to Jackson State, Dion was his coach. And when he went to Colorado, Dion was his coach. And a lot of the concepts that they used at Colorado, at Jackson State, and in high school, it's these first read, half field type of plays that takes a lot of the decision making out from the quarterback. Now, when things got messy and things broke down, did he panic? He did not. And that's something that I think you can be a little bit encouraged by. He kept his eyes downfield. He did not try and run with the ball. That's something that Jackson Dart did. Dart was actually good at it. But Shedeur Sanders was trying to make a play with his arm. And he would literally, he would scramble away from pressure, and right before the offensive line, or right before the line of scrimmage, he'd stop his feet, he'd run parallel to that line, and then he'd fire the ball.
Nice.
It's what happens after he fires the ball. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it wasn't. He was worth a day 2 pick. I'm surprised.
So,
I think we know why. And I don't think there's any reason to talk about it. And I'm hoping that the Browns and, Kevin Stefanski's a pretty cool guy and should be able to work with him. Bill Musgrave has worked with his fair share of quarterbacks in his day. Bill knows Dion. It's a solid landing spot for Shedeur. I'm curious to see how he does in training camp.
Yeah, right. No, it's, and yeah, I mean, we all panicked here. I was at the live draft party up at the Brown Stadium when the word trade flashed on the screen. I think we all there was 20,000 various curse words being yelled. And then when we gave it up and then they drafted Travis Hunter, it was even worse.
Sure, because he could have been yours.
So, by the time then, of course, things have happened, and then a lot of things happened over the weekend. But, I mean, I've seen their overall draft. They got an A. That's what a lot of people are giving them.
They got overall draft. They got quite a haul for Travis Hunter from Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Having Jacksonville's number 1 pick next year could end up being a very good thing.
Yeah, right. So, it could be. We could have 2 top 5s next year. So,
exactly.
I don't know. But anyway, but Dave, thank you again for being a part of this. Thank you for your support, your love for the Expo, Kings Classic, just being a good friend. And I truly appreciate you for that, brother. And any last words before we take it out?
Totally supporting you, Bob. I love what you're doing. I can't wait to see what you do next. Sometimes I have to stop myself from thinking about how this could evolve into something even bigger. I had the idea once that put each analyst in their own suite at Tom Benson Field, right? That's what it's called? Or is it Tom Benson Stadium?
Tom Benson Stadium, yeah.
Okay. Put each fantasy manager in their own suite. You could sell tickets to people to go in the suite with their favorite fantasy analyst, and they've got to make the picks. They've got to, they've got a headset or something like that.
Right.
They call down to somebody on the field. Okay, I'm taking Bijan Robinson, and then on the screen it's Dave Richard takes Bijan Robinson 101, and Jeff Ratcliffe is on the clock, and there's a countdown clock, and each analyst is in their own separate suite with their own group of fans.
Their own group of fans cheering them on.
Right, and the fans are cheering them on, or they're giving advice on, hey, take this guy instead of that guy. And I thought to myself, that would be fun. But that would also be a little crazy for a fantasy draft. That might be a bit too much. But, the way that you are growing this thing, the way you are growing this thing, Bob, it wouldn't surprise me if someday that's how we're drafting at the Kings Classic.
Well, or maybe it's something we just do an extra thing. Who knows? We just, always the problem is we have a million ideas in only 2.5 days. People are like, you should just make this a whole week. And I'm like, I don't know if that many people can take up that much work.
Right.
But I mean, I could, Dave, so many ideas have been given to me and I've explored or thought about almost all of them, like, could we do it? Well, how would that work? What would and I think it through and I'm like, okay, how's, and that's one of them that a lot of people are like, man, you should have just all of them sitting up, like kind of like the expert mock draft that we do but literally you're all sitting on stage and there's just tons of people in the things, yelling out or whatever. But I like your idea too of the specific fans. That's cool stuff.
Yeah.
So,
it's
all right. Well,
keep growing.
Thank you, Dave. Again, I appreciate you, brother.
You got it.
So for Dave Richards, I'm Bob Lung. Everybody, thank you for being a part of this. Don't forget to get your tickets, thefantasyfootballexpo.com. Thanks for everybody who listened. Thanks for your great questions. And we'll see you in 2 weeks with Mr. Andy Behrens from Yahoo. So take care, everybody.